everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Aphrodite, aka Madam Suave. If you are new here, I would like to welcome you to the community. Be sure to check the description box below and like, comment, share, and subscribe if you feel called to. Remember that energy is timeless and fluid. This will be past, present, or future energy. Flip roles if they need to be reversed, and only take a resonates, leaving the rest for what it's meant for. So we are going to go ahead and jump straight into the message today. Yesterday, I briefly kind of spoke about someone who could be having flashbacks of the past. Now, you do not only have to be, someone who could have been, may have been sexually assaulted or anything like that. You could have also been someone who maybe you were bullied, etc., and maybe you are having flashbacks of this or some sort of other traumatic event. Okay, so one thing that I am getting is it's like rewriting the past, okay? Because as we go through different transformations in life, especially I am going to get into talking about the spiritual baptism a little bit. As you go through these transformations, it's important to address the trauma, okay? So things that you could have been suppressing, things that you may not have fully addressed, or maybe sometimes it's like you got there but then you couldn't fully completely follow through with kind of healing these things, okay? Because maybe it was too painful for you to face. So one thing that I'm getting, right, because a flashback is very, very similar to, kind of having a dream, depending on like when you have these flashbacks. I don't know if you guys are like awake when you are having these flashbacks, if you're in the moment and you're having these flashbacks, if this flashback is coming up as a dream. And in dreams, a flashback may not look exactly as it has happened, okay, but it may constantly remind you of what happened to you, okay? So one thing that I'm getting, right, because obviously, even though, a flashback is a moment representing the past, okay? But when you are actually in this flashback or experiencing this flashback, especially if it is a dream, it is no longer the past, but you are living that moment as if it is the present, okay? So one thing that you have to do, because we talk about dreams a lot, we talk about being able to control, understanding the fact that you are conscious and the fact that you are in control, right? So it's understanding that you have so much more strength now, passing that moment, right? You're not the same person that you were in the past. And you've had a lot of time, for some of you, you've had a lot of time to reflect on it. But in that moment, okay, because we are talking about being able to almost rewire your subconscious to kind of rewrite your memories without actually pushing them away, okay? Because when you push away your trauma, your pain, etc., and you kind of just go on about life ignoring things like they don't exist and they aren't there, it actually causes more damage, okay? It causes more damage for you kind of ignoring it. It almost, yes, and we're gonna get into it, but yes, it's like living in denial, okay? And so this can have, adverse effects on your mental health. Because, okay, so I had a dream not too long ago and I couldn't really figure out why I was having it, but then I realized, okay, so this may be, a message for someone else having this flashback. And so maybe in this period of time, you may have felt defenseless. Maybe you didn't know how to defend yourself at the time. Maybe you were someone who you kind of just froze in the face of conflict. And so remembering who you are now, remembering that, and one, strength is very, very different in dreams than in reality, okay? But also strength comes from a place that is not just physical. Strength comes from a place that it is in your spirit, okay? It's something that is just in your soul. It is it's heart, okay? To have heart. When you are in these flashbacks, it's important that you take your power back, right? It's important that you defend yourself the way that you felt that you couldn't have before. And because some of you, I don't know, some of you could be, thinking like a little bit vengefully, you know what I'm saying? Some of you do want justice. Some of you hate how you felt in that moment. Especially for some of you that you were robbed, okay? Robbed, things were taken from you. People just took advantage of you. And so in this moment, it is like, and in dreams, okay, law doesn't abide the same in dreams. So defend yourself the way that you would have, okay, that you don't have to pay any consequences for, right? Show up for your past self so that you can step into the present you and continue to walk into the future you, okay? Because it's like your past self needs to catch up with your present, right? It's like I said, we are a reflection of all timelines, okay? So it is not that simply because you walk into you may be like older now, you may have, been a different person, but it's like if you leave the old you, the past you, and you forgot to heal those things, then it's like your past self is still stuck in another time zone and you're over here, okay? So it's like you need those parts of you to catch up so that you together can walk into the future, okay? It's combining all those timelines into one. This is when we move into alignment, okay? Because and otherwise you are kind of scattered all over the place, and you're wondering why you're not attracting certain things, why certain things aren't happening again. Is because you are not fully in alignment to be able to receive those things, right? Or when those things do catch up to you, you're wondering why you are constantly maybe continuously either pushing it off, or maybe some things go wrong or it feels like it's ruined. You're like, okay, this is like everything I want, but maybe you are constantly self-sabotaging yourself, and this is because you have not fully healed. Okay, this is giving yourself the support that you may have been lacking, right? Okay, so you are showing up for yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and get into talking about spiritual baptism and the 5 stages of grief, okay? Because a lot of us, some of us are physically going through, transitions of life, but also this is very symbolical. So for some, this is symbolical, and others, this is going to be literal. However, they are very, very similar, okay? So spiritual rebirth, as well as, the cycle of life, right? And we go through cycles of life while we are living as well, but they are very, very similar, and they do mirror one another. The spiritual baptism is very, very similar to death, because essentially, right, when we talk about being submerged in the water, and we're talking about the symbolical ritual of the baptism, okay, when you're being submerged in the water, this is you being submerged into your subconscious, right? So you are literally dying, okay? You are dying to be reborn again, similar to, coming out of the womb. And a lot of us, we carry things, and this is why I was saying, for some of you, you were carrying a lot that wasn't even yours, right? When I say, like, I was born just like sad, bro, just born sad and depressed, like, and I'm gonna get into this in a minute, because, okay, let me stay on track, but sometimes, you are born carrying the weight of what could have been going on while you were in the womb, or, like your parents as well, or just it's the past, right? Because whatever was in your ancestral line, okay, that continues to get passed down. So you can literally feel like you are carrying other burdens, and then not to mention that you also have past lives, okay? And none of that goes away until it is addressed, okay? As much as it, sucks, you're thinking, I'm coming in fresh motherfucking, and no, it's not always like that, okay? So you're thinking, oh, this is a new life, it's good, but like, no, sometimes you still have to address things of the past, and sometimes it doesn't make sense why you feel things, because you aren't completely aware of things that your past self may have gone through before, okay? And some of you are having memories of this, so you might be thinking like, okay, these aren't my memories, but these could be memories of, it's like maybe not the memories of your present self, but the memory of your past self, okay? And what is hidden and in your soul, okay? So the spiritual baptism, you are submerged in the subconscious, which forces you to face your wounds, trauma, the things that drive your conscious action. So these are things that you may have been avoiding, or these could also be things that it's like you acknowledge that it's there, but maybe you get stuck in a cycle, okay? And as I said, this could just be because, sometimes it can be too painful, or you just simply don't know what to do, okay? And it's like, not everyone, has access to therapy. Not everyone has, and for everyone, therapy may not work for you, okay? Or at least traditional, okay, therapy. So let's talk about the spiritual transition, okay? A spiritual transition. So it's like you grieve the things you may have failed to in the moment. And when I say this, grieving the things you may have felt to in the moment, right? This is, like I said, the things that you may have suppressed, the things that maybe you didn't want to grieve in the moment because it made it too real. All of this can be catching up to you at once at this time. So you are allowing yourself to relive emotions to be able to let them out, right? So it's letting go a part of yourself. And so maybe you are grieving some of the things, of yourself, right? Because everything that you have been through up until this point is what makes you you. Obviously, when you are going through life transitions, when you are making changes, sometimes you do grieve parts of yourself, and it's literally walking into that unknown, kind of like not knowing, right? It's like sometimes it could be a bittersweet feeling, okay? And this is the same thing when we, lose people in our lives. Sometimes it could just be a bittersweet feeling, or you simply don't know how to feel about it because it is so unknown to you. A literal transition, right? It's like you are grieving what has not yet happened. So you are grieving in advance. Whereas, other grieving, it's like you are grieving what has already happened. It's like you're grieving the past, okay? Grieving the past, or you don't necessarily have to be grieving the past. I mean, it could be, a little bit of the same. I don't know. For a little transition, you are grieving what has not yet happened. So you're grieving in advance, but also grieving your entire life, right? So they're very similar. Both are change, which can be difficult. And so when I say you are grieving your entire life, right? Because very, very, like I said, they are very similar. So it's kind of like you are literally watching your life, right? Thinking back, reflecting on your life, kind of like looking at, the different transitions. Like even sometimes, I look back and I'm like, damn, like remembering like who I was, looking at me through all my phases. I'm like, it's very, very interesting to see. But do I regret anything that I've left behind? No, I have no regrets, right? And yes, some parts of life were trickier. And even today, you know, thinking back on it, you know, some moments you may not even know how you got through those moments, but you did. And it's like a story that you damn near can't even tell. It's just like you had to have been there. You know, you can't really explain that story to anyone else. Okay, I can barely fucking, it's literally like sometimes, and it's like, yes, sometimes our brain can black things out to make it as like, sometimes our brain can black things out to kind of as a create a coping mechanism, but this is not necessarily something that I necessarily feel is present. For some of you that can resonate, but it's a little different. It's almost like, you know, that part of your life is almost like, I don't want to say is no longer relevant, but it doesn't carry the same weight, right? Because it's literally like a weight has been lifted off of your shoulders. So it's like now when you get to a certain place, you can look back on that time without kind of viewing it as like a painful moment, okay? Though it may have been, it kind of changes the way that you view things and the way that you remember them, okay? So like I said, rewriting and kind of reframing your mindset, your memories, okay? Memory override. Yes, I don't know if I said that before, but that is what I'm calling it. Okay, memory override. So for some of you, you are stuck in the denial phase, and grief relates to a lot of things. This could be leaving behind anything or anyone that may not be a part of this next phase, both past and future. So like I said, this is something that could be scary, very unknown to you, feeling like you have a lack of control, and this could be because of knowing what the future holds, and also not knowing can be equally as scary depending on what that future looks like. And so what I'm getting, it's just one foot in front of the other, taking it day by day, okay? It's trying not to think about everything all at once, okay? Trying not to think about everything all at once. What's that one movie? Y'all know, I know that just sparked something in y'all head too. I don't remember the movie, but it's something, okay? It's something very, very similar to what I just said. Grief, much like healing, isn't always a linear process because life and time itself is not linear. And as complex beings, we oftentimes feel a range of different emotions all of the time, right? And sometimes we feel a lot of emotions like all at once. This could be, it's like you're feeling like a concoction of different emotions. Like you can't just say one way, oh, I'm happy. Like sometimes it's not as simple as being like, oh, I'm happy, or oh, I'm sad, you know? Sometimes it is like a cocktail of different emotions all combined into one. Okay, so sometimes this is why I say when people ask me like, how are you doing? Like, you know, I don't really know. You know, I'm doing. That's all I can tell you. Sometimes that's all you can say is I'm doing, okay? And that's fine. Thinking about, you know, the stages of grief, the 5 stages of grief, right? Sometimes you reach acceptance and then maybe you get angry again, okay? You get angry again because you have began to accept it, possibly for accepting what may seem unfair to you or not the outcome that you may have wanted, or maybe you feel like you're giving up, but this is just surrendering, okay? And there is strength in surrendering and not needing to control everything. As I said, so once someone passes on, right? On, even if you are the one passing on, right? It's like your memory changes, okay? You're not going to view things the same way that you would now as like a living, you know, fleshly being, okay? Things don't really, you don't remember life the same. Even like I said, we do have past lives, but when we originally get here, you know, sometimes we don't fully remember it. It's like we subconsciously know that something is lingering, something is there, but you don't necessarily know what. And so it's very, very similar, okay? It's gonna be very similar even when you go through a rebirth, okay? The way that you view the past changes. It's not going to be the same, right? Sometimes, you know, people have an easier time looking back on their past and you can just kind of like laugh it off, or, you know what I mean? It's when you get to that point where you can like laugh at things because it's like you have come to a higher understanding of why you had to go through certain things, you know, why life was the way that it was. Just kind of remembering yourself, you know, how you were. It's kind of just looking at things and remembering them in its purest form, okay? Bargaining, I'm getting, is almost like reverting back into a child or viewing things from the lens of a child because of feeling vulnerable. It's like getting attached to a toy or a routine. And now, bargaining is almost kind of still in that phase of denial because it's like, well, it's almost like, it's kind of like almost like testing the limits, or, you know, still trying to say, well, you know, if only, like what if, or sometimes you're leaving things behind and you're saying, well, maybe I don't completely have to, you know, give this up, you know, maybe I can, you know, here and there, you know, kind of teeter totter because you're not really fully ready to make that full step, okay, or make that complete step, or maybe that step feels a little too big, so you're like, well, maybe I'll let things go, you know, in doses. And that's also fine, you know. No one can say that, you know, like that's not fine, but sometimes going cold turkey is better, okay? Sometimes going cold turkey is better and kind of just challenging yourself, right? But so depression, okay, now depression, okay. So depression can feel like everything all at once and yet absolutely nothing at all. And it kind of feels like a blur until you're out of it. Like when I say, because like I said, I did go through a period of what someone might call depression, but I never liked to call myself depressed, okay? Never liked to call myself depressed because then I feel like you are kind of speaking something over yourself, or like I said, you never want to speak something over yourself or a state of being that you do not want to remain and stay. It's okay to say, oh, I am healing from depression, or I am, maybe going through a phase of depression, right? And not saying that I am depressed, right? Because then you are claiming that as like a part of yourself, okay? You are claiming that as a part of yourself, as a part of your identity when you say I am, okay? And so depression, that's something, like I said, it's something that you cannot even explain. Like, it's literally like you're just going through the motions of life is all I can say. And eventually one day, I don't know, it's like you start taking baby steps here and there, starting to get back to life, or thinking about the fact that, it's kind of like coming to that point where you're like, okay, this happened or whatever, however you may be feeling, but you just get to a point where you just get up and you're like, I cannot stay in this state, okay? I cannot stay in this state. You just do what you need to do to get out of that state, and then you kind of find things to maintain this, whatever keeps you happy, whatever keeps you going. And for some of you, you may need to find new coping mechanisms, new ways of coping, okay? Especially for people who are going literally through life-changing events, okay? So something just clicks, and you slowly find your rhythm, accepting things for what they are and choosing to move forward, however that may look for you and your situation. A weight lifts off of you, and this is not something that happens all at once, okay? It happens slowly over time. Every single day, things get lighter. It just starts to feel lighter, and then eventually you feel like you're breathing new, you're moving differently, and it's just, I don't know, it's just great, okay? You just do whatever you need to do to continue to maintain your peace and keep your spirits high. Now, some of you are in the acceptance phase, and this is why you are feeling lighter. Maybe someone or people are trying to make you feel guilty for it, but this is what's best for you in your own process. So you may have a different or higher perspective of life and the cycles of life. Okay? And so for someone, like I said, because you do have, if you are dealing with someone who could be passing on or something, but it's like they are stuck in the denial phase, and so they feel as though if you are accepting of it, then it kind of shatters the reality that they are trying to hold on to, and this is very frustrating for them. So kind of what I was getting is that they feel like, as far as acceptance, they are equating acceptance to happiness, and acceptance just means that you are at peace with something, right? Because what they do not understand, or maybe for them it's hard to understand because they are the ones that are in the situation, but don't understand that everyone around them are also grieving, okay? And the grieving process looks different for everyone. It's not going to look the same for everyone. People cope in different ways, okay? People handle life-shattering events in very, very different ways. And so maybe they are taking it as you don't care as much, or maybe they just feel, I don't know, maybe they could also feel like you are giving up, but it's not that you are giving up, it's that you are accepting, and you understand. It's like you are kind of like preparing yourself for what's to come, rather than staying in a state to where it's almost like going to be a shock, going to shock you, right? Because like I said, when you get shocked, it's a lot worse than you gradually leading yourself up to something, right? Preparing yourself for what's to come. And this is something that, I mean, for people who are on the other end, it's kind of like, I can't speak to, how you're going to feel once you're on the other side, but it may be, a bit of a jolt, okay? It's going to make it a bit more jolting for them, especially because it's like the soul will have not made peace yet before going on. Yes, the soul will not have made peace yet before going on. And so when you cannot make peace before you go on, then it's like you are stuck in, like I said, this state of limbo. Ooh, okay, yes, you are stuck in this state of limbo. They also feel as though it's ruining their ability to manifest, but what's happening to them is the effect of trying to manifest ill will into the lives of others. Now, this is only for some, okay? Because like I said, we have people that are just naturally transitioning, and then we have people who may be transitioning as a result of karma, okay? So as a result of them attempting to manifest ill will into the lives of others, their manifestations are blocked. And one thing about it is delusion does not equal manifestation, okay? When people tell people to, oh, delusional is the key to manifesting, being delusional is not the key, okay? Delusion is what causes people to literally lose their mind, okay? It causes people to lose their minds and kind of just go off into la la land, okay? So manifestation is a result of attracting through co-creation, not blind belief. This requires work to actually align with what is trying to be manifested. And in order for something to be manifested, this is already written. So when you are attracting, you are attracting what is already meant for you. You cannot attract what is not there. Like I said, energy is neither created nor destroyed. So you must be rooted in reality first, not simply imagination, or you get lost in la la land. So this is also psychosis, trapping the self in the mind and shutting everything else out. So this is a very fixed and a stubborn energy, a blind optimism and blind faith, okay? What I was getting is that either you or them, like I said, either you or them, because I don't want to make anyone feel secluded, okay? So either you or them are betting on even, but the odds are stacked against them or you, okay? So these people, right, because you can feel like people are against you when it feels like you are kind of feeling like you are on the opposing side of what they are wishing for, okay? So they are viewing you not as people, but negative spirits that are attacking them or trying to block them, because maybe you are at odds, but you have a connection to source, spirit, God, whatever you may believe in. You understand karma, consequences, as well as spiritual law. So, right, it's like, even if, when people are going through things, they can create everyone else to be the enemy, okay? Especially, like I said, when maybe they feel like they aren't being understood, or when they feel like, someone is trying to tell them something that they don't want to hear, okay? They're going to feel like everyone is their enemy, okay? Especially when they are fighting it. And this is a natural part of grief. You have to counterbalance their reactiveness or emotional imbalance by remaining calm, so that maybe you can eventually find common grounds, or at least create a space of peace and comfortability naturally, so that they can come to that place on their own. It's essentially like when a child throws a tantrum, sometimes you just gotta let them tire themselves out. So when I say like let them reach that breaking point, or let them self-destruct, because destructing, right, you have to destruct in order to be reconstructed, broken down in order to be built back up, right? So it is a natural process. So it's not just saying, oh, let them. Sometimes you just have to let that happen, because those walls have to be broken down, instead of you trying to climb over those walls, because now you look like an invader. You look like you are invading, okay? And so you continue to look like an enemy, rather than allowing them to come to their own senses, okay? They need to come to their senses. So let them break down, let them reach that point of vulnerability, and then maybe they will come to you. At that point, they may be ready to accept some form of comfort. So even if they aren't allowing you to comfort them directly, it's good to have family and friends supporting them in the background, as well as one another. They may not want people around, but it may be good to be able to hear their voices, at least letting them know that they are there. They might be standoffish at first, but feeling that love may overwhelm them to the point where they open up or begin to well up with tears, and this breakdown is good, okay? So these, like I said, allowing the walls to fall. Try not to yell, okay? And this is another reason it's good to have good support around you, because you are also grieving, which they don't realize. So controlling your own emotions may be hard at this time. So it's important that you are there for one another and just focus on love, okay? That is the end of today's message. I hope that this message was helpful to whoever needed to hear it. Hope that you got something from this message. If you enjoy my channel, my content, my energy, I do ask that you like, comment, share, and subscribe if you feel called to. And I'll see you guys on next time. I love you all. Bye.